Hello everyone, welcome to this video. Today I'm going to be reviewing a FineArt game from Fox. FineArt's opponent for this game is Yang Dingxin, who at the time of this video is currently number 4 in the world, so very strong. Yang just finished playing in the Samsung Cup and he made it all the way to the finals, which is one of the most stacked international Go tournaments, so he's a very strong player, young player too. And I think this is either his only game against FineArt, so he has no experience against FineArt before this. So let's see how it goes. It's a 2-stone game, 1 minute main time. It was 3 60-second overtime periods. Yeah, let's get into it. Approach, defend. The opening is actually pretty, not simple, but pretty easy to understand. Once we get into fighting, though, that's when things get a little complicated. Yeah. So white approaches, black backs off, and then white protects this stone. As opposed to helping this stone, right? Because white could fix or help this stone or help this stone. Because black played low here, black won't be able to attack this stone as much, so that's why white protects this one, because this stone, if white protects up here, black could get a very easy attack on this stone. So that's why white goes here. Black plays a checking extension from here, right, building this area, but again, because of this stone, black's looking to attack these two white stones. But then FineArt plays this move, which I actually watched this game live, so it was pretty exciting. This game got thousands of, at least 5,000 people watching, if I remember correctly. But this move is perplexing. The first instinct is, okay, white wants to approach, why doesn't white approach here? My guess is that it's when black kicks and then jumps, this shape here is very good for black. And because white already hasn't gotten this kick yet, if white tries to kick, black could just pincer. But if white tries to pincer, black can still live in the corner. So I think white's trying to avoid this variation by going here. Now if black plays the same exact move, right, the white stone was here, but now the white stone's here, you can see this stone is much lighter because white doesn't need to respond, right? White could maybe switch directions, or maybe white can come back to here. So that's my only reasoning. In the game, black jumps here, which I really like this move. Again, white is ignoring moves up here, right against these two stones. Black played this one, and now this one. So black knows white has to owe a move eventually. So white kicks, and then comes down. Big move territorially, but also to give this group some eye space. And then black extends from these stones. So this last sequence of 5 moves, like this move up to this move, just flow very nicely, right? White kicks to try to make a base. Black descends down to keep up the pressure. White then slides into the corner, taking away this these stones' base, so then black extends. So that it all makes sense. But then white plays this knight's move, which it's a very interesting move, for sure. So white, one, cannot jump in directly because black can play here, and this attack will be pretty difficult for white to handle. So counter invading, especially after kicking, which made this wall stronger, is not an option. So why does white choose this spot as opposed to maybe this spot, right? I'm not sure. I don't know. The one difference that this one has to this one, like the one con, is that if black gets an extension here, there's a weakness in white's shape right here that black can look for. Even without this move, black can potentially even go here directly, but especially with the stone here, this move is pretty annoying for white to deal with. So I think because black is so strong here, white doesn't want any sort of complication, so white just dives, forces black to go here, and FineArt actually thinks this is a good enough exchange, because then white kicks. Now, if black stands up, when white extends, you can see white gets a perfect extension and has made black heavier. So if black makes a base, you can see this is a pretty narrow base. So to avoid that, black hanes. So if you want to avoid getting gote, one, as black you have to take a local loss, because if white answers and you Atari, then you can come back. Treating these stones lightly, and then black could come back and attack these two stones. But white, interestingly enough, just goes here and leaves this completely, which, like, I would 100% of the time, with no hesitation, just do this block. Now, the interesting thing about ignoring this, though, is that maybe white doesn't know if white wants to go here or white wants to go here. And that comes up. So I think white doesn't know if white wants the outside yet or the corner. Because even though the corner looks big, when black connects, it's really only like 10 points, 8 points. So it's not even that big. So the outside could be worth more. So I think that's why white ignores. If black takes the corner, white would just hane and maybe do something like this. Right? So, yeah, pretty interesting for sure, though. I've never seen anybody ignore this hane. But this is the sort of ideas that we can learn from AIs. So in the game, black plays this move. So this move is a compromise. And what I mean by that is, potentially, right, there's this very obvious looking weakness here, where black's threatening to connect under, but also threatening to come out. So black could attack white later by invading. But conversely, there's a weakness later on if white can play this move. Especially if white gets another stone, right? Oops. Right here. Then this would be very dangerous for black. So by playing this one, one white has to answer directly, right? When white goes here, when black goes there, white could maybe attach, white could go here, white can even jump in. So there's lots of options, but by going here, it kind of simplifies the game. It forces white down to third line territory. Black can still reduce, but most importantly, when white goes here later, you can see black can play more strongly. Oops. This one is... Yeah, you can see that by having this stone here, it really helps this fight. So black is actually, by playing this move, black's actually protecting this area. And this move really doesn't give white much. So I really like this move too. It's also the normal follow-up when we have this diagonal in the corner to this stone. So black pincers on the bottom. White plays this knight's move. When I first saw it, I thought this was like a strange looking move, but because I was like, oh, you know, that's my first instinct, but it would allow black to make white heavy. So white doesn't want that, so white goes here. And black again plays this very solid move, and I really like this move. Like, I would try to be like, oh, try to get as much as possible. But this would, since I'm adding stones to white, white would be able to, even if white just comes out this way, but white could be more aggressive even too, because I've added stones to white. But by just backing off, this stone is weaker, so this stone is stronger. So that's the relativity of stones. Since this stone's weaker, this stone is stronger. If I make this stone stronger, then this stone can be weaker. So always remember that. I believe Ryan Lee, one dot professional for the AGA, he likes to think of the game as a series of exchanges. So black could exchange this, but by exchanging this, it makes this weaker. So, but by just going here, we haven't exchanged anything here, so this stone's weaker. So now white plays here, right? I was saying before maybe white wants to take the outside. And it's pretty interesting because, so like the first instinct is to Atari, right? But now what does black really do? If black goes here, white can still cut, or can even play something like this. If black just if black just connects, white could still just jump or do something, I don't know. So it's actually pretty interesting. In the game, black double hanes though. So black agrees with me and nothing here looks satisfactory, so black just double hanes. Now of course the obvious thing is, well, white can capture this stone, but again, if white makes these stones stronger, white stones here will get weaker, so white doesn't want to make black stones stronger. So for example, you know, if white just Ataris down, this would be pretty good for black, right? So white would like to squeeze out a little bit more. Black can't extend liberties in the corner because white can still come out. But if black can prevent that, right? If black goes here, and even just connects, we can see since black is super strong, white is weak. And I even think black doesn't need to protect, and white could just go up here. Like, white can cut, but who cares? This quadrant is much bigger than this corner. Yeah, so white doesn't want to just take the corner. So white wanted the outside, so white continues to take the outside by cutting and then dropping down. So in general, when we cut, we want to play in the direction that gives us more liberties. But when black jumps into the corner, we can see white cannot capture this stone in a ladder, because this black stone runs into this stone here. So since white can't capture this in a ladder, white plays strongly by going down. So then black jumps into the corner. It's better to not make this exchange, because by white connecting here, black's giving up the option of Atarying here later, right? If black plays here, notice when black goes here, this isn't an Atari anymore. So by just going here, even though black might eventually get this Atari, just by going here it's a little bit better. Like, there's no way white would go here, because then when black Ataris, you can see black got, or white shape is very bad. So that's why it's better to just jump directly. In the game, white jumped here. White would like, so when white jumped, black crawled, which is a huge crawl, right, for the life and death of black, but also the strength of these white stones. So white would like to go here. So the reason why white doesn't go here is that black can hane here. And because of this exchange black has made with this stone, It's pretty uncomfortable for white to capture the corner now. So if white crawls, white needs to extend liberties up to here. But again, notice black's adding stones here, right? Black's getting stronger here, which means white's getting weaker here. And again, white has to do this now, but then black can Atari. Cut. Atari. And we can see white will win the semi, but black's outside is much superior. Right? These three stones can be attacked pretty heavily. Now, you might be thinking, well, black can do this first, and then go here. And it changes this life and death a lot. This is white's best move to take away liberties. And it looks like white would just win the semi again, which wouldn't be bad for black, because again, black would just take the outside. But actually, black can throw in once, and then descend here. And because of this throw-in, black actually has not just one liberty here, but 1, 2, 3 liberties right here. So white actually cannot win the semi now. Yeah, you can see now white cannot go there. However, so this looks great for black, right? So why wouldn't black Atari? Because it's not actually sente. Because white can maybe do something. If white ignores, notice when black captures, white would just extend. And again, white was willing to give up the corner anyways to take the outside, and now white's outside is pretty good. So this move is not sente. So don't assume just because you're retiring a stone it's not sente. But regardless, black can still go here, and it's still good for black. So that's why, even though white wants to go here, white can't, so white goes here. So of course black crawls. And then white caps. Again, I kept showing black getting a move here, which would, again, weaken this a lot. But then if white were to come back, even if white were to come back, this is a pretty big corner now, right? Because as opposed to white just getting a corner that's like this big, white's getting a corner that's now this big. And because white's strong here, these two stones aren't technically super strong either, so white could still run out. So black crawls, white caps, black extends, and then white makes this crucial exchange, which doesn't look like an exchange at all, right? Like, just looks like white's taking away liberties, but this move is very vital. So basically what it's doing is it's not allowing black to get an Atari here, right? This move would be very painful for white. So, but by going here directly, it's forcing black to come back because this move now works, right? White couldn't do that before because of this Atari. White also doesn't want to, like white did this, but white doesn't want to do it this way because it would give black 2 eyes in the corner. So white just directly plays here. If white just ignores completely, black could Atari and push through and cut. And you can see white still cannot Hane here because these stones do not have a lot of liberties. So white would need to Atari and connect, but then black can just come back and you can see white's in a lot of danger. So this is perfect timing by white. So this is a very good move. So of course now black needs to protect, so then white can protect. And then black caps, which I think this move's pretty good. It's definitely not a move I would think of. Like I would think about, oh, how can I help these stones? Because we have a cut here between these stones and these stones, and I would be thinking, oh, these stones are so weak, how can I attack them? But they're actually pretty flexible. if I just try to run out, white would just run, and since I'm in the center, it's going to be hard for me to like find a base, right? Whereas since white's on the side, it's going to be pretty easy for white to find a base. And especially since Yang ignored in the top right, white can actually put pressure on these two stones potentially. So he didn't like that, so he capped, asking white, okay, you can take the stones, but I'm going to take profit on the right side. Right? Double Hane, just pull back, and then white connects, and then, since I watched this game live, I actually predicted, right, because I read it out, of course, but predicted black's next move, which was here, right? It connects all of black's right side. That's a very big move. And then FineArt does something pretty unusual, or not unusual, but I would have thought was pretty crazy, because I'm like, oh, does white need to respond? Okay, maybe white does need to respond, but maybe white can go here, and then black just pulls back, and now white has Sente to do whatever, and it would be a game, right? But something about this FineArt does not like, because FineArt in the game actually Hane'd here, let black cut, and you can see white has gotten into black's side, but black takes the center back. So this is a crazy trade for white. At the time I did not like it, but still have faith in our robot overlords that they know what they're doing. So white jumps, black extends, of course, looking at this move here. If white ignores, black can go here, and white's going to be struggling to make two eyes. So white attaches, which is a very good move. Very, very good move. If black bumps here, white can actually extend up, and if black tries to keep cutting, you can see white can cut, and these stones are in a really big liberty issue, because now black cannot push through and cut these stones off. So black can't do that. If black just extends here, white will just extend along here. And again, there's lots of aji in here. And white could actually make seki in the corner by going here, I think. But that shows up in the game. And I don't want to pretend like I saw this move, so I'll just say that this would probably be good for white, since white can play this later. And this move must be why white made the sacrifice of the center. So in the game, black hanes, or white cut, black ataried, and then descended. So even though, because in the game, white went here and let white connect, because black connected here, these stones now have liberties again, and now these stones, since they're not cutting off anything, are pretty much useless. And by descending, black's leaving this peep aji open, right? Because even though white took a stone, that's still a false eye. So in the game, black turned. So white crawled and then jumped. I don't know why black doesn't push once, right? Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure it's just a minor difference, but letting white get this turn and jump feels like much better shape. So then black plays this very nice move. It's one, reducing the effect of these stones, because even though, I said they're pretty useless, white can still activate them, and you can see black shape is not great here. So black really does want to add a move here, but this move also threatens to activate this move because it's threatening to cut through white's shape. So white shoulder hits once and black answers, and the point of this shoulder hit is, since you're already planning on giving up these three stones, you may as well make sure your opponent swallows them on a small scale. So white just makes his exchange once and says that's good enough. And then white plays into the corner. So yeah, I did not see this move. I thought black's corner was just completely safe, but yeah, so it's looking pretty dire for black. So black descended, white played here, black played this one, and now white went here. White would like, if white connects, black is able to not do that but throw in, and then white cannot connect here, and black still has 2 liberties. So that's why in the game when black Atari'd, white just played here, and now this is a dead shape. So yes, and there's like, look at white's shape here. There looks like there's nothing much black can do, right? Like if black takes, white can throw in, and even though black can maybe peep once and then extend, since white can play here, black can't connect. And there's no cut here. Yeah, so it looks pretty, like, I'm not sure what, at the time I was like, I'm not sure what black's going to do, but black actually plays a brilliant tesuji. Yeah, a brilliant tesuji of playing this one. Like, this move is sensational. So what is the point of this move? If white just connects, then black can Atari here, and you can see this is threatening a ko, and now black would win this semi-I. So white can't connect. So what if white Atari's here? Then when black takes, you can see white would like to be able to throw in, but because black already has this stone here, black can actually take this, and it would be a huge ko. A ko that's unwinnable for white. Yeah. So white would need a take, but then black could live. If white just connects, very similar, right? White can't, these 2 spots are mi. And notice with a lot of these sequences, white's group is now in danger if black's alive here. So this move is very good. What else is there? Yeah, I don't see any other sort of move white can do. Oh, if white goes here, then black can just push through. And even though white would live, it'd be in gote, and you can see black's cut off this tail, but it's a pretty large tail. So this wouldn't be a bad trade for black, to trade the corner for these stones up here, especially if black gets another stone here. Something like this whole area is starting to look like black's now, right? Even if black does something like that. Yeah. So pretty good move. Yeah, just pretty good. No, it's a brilliant move. If black didn't play that, black would have nothing right now. Black would resign. But yeah, it goes there. So in the game, white Ataris and then connects. Yeah. Black Ataris, white connects, black takes, white throws in. Again, can't let black make 2 eyes. If black just takes here, white can just go here, and you can see black actually can't connect this because going here would be a self-Atari. So in the game, black goes here. So now it's a ko for to connect. So black loses the ko, black loses the corner. But if white loses a ko, this whole group here has half an eye. So it's a flower ko for black. Black, as long as black gets compensation somewhere, black's fine. But even worse than that is black has local threats because black starts with this threat. So white has to answer, because if black, if black can connect and kill these, then this ko is pointless, and yeah. So of course white needs to answer. Black takes. White plays this move. Black answers. White takes. Black cuts. And then white plays this empty triangle, which looks like a strange move, but it helps reduce the amount of ko threats black has. Because if white Ataris, which looks like the natural move, black later can still connect as a ko threat. And black just has more ko threats this way, but by going here, black doesn't have that many, or doesn't have as much. Black still has a ton though, because this move is a ko threat, this move is a ko threat, like there's a lot of ko threats. So that's why white goes here. And then so black takes the ko, and FineArt actually resigns here. So yeah, FineArt thinks it doesn't have enough ko threats. Again, if black wins this ko, this is all connected, and this group has half an eye. And this is solid points, this is pretty solid, and this center is solid. Besides this bottom, white really doesn't have that many points. So white just resigns here. So yeah, pretty great game by Yang. He played pretty solid. I can't really, in the other FineArt games that I've reviewed, I can kind of guess at some mistakes, right? They're professionals, so it's hard to gauge if things are mistakes, but there's things that I wouldn't think are good ideas or good moves. But in this game, all of black's moves made sense. Yeah, and that's really important when you're playing FineArt. Yeah, FineArt couldn't get any solid attacks going. Black just played solid, and not super simple, but all of black's moves made sense, and they had a flow to them, which I really liked. Yeah, black didn't try to start any crazy fights. Well, this right side was pretty crazy, but it's because white wanted to take the. It's because white's the one who made it complicated by taking this stone, right? White could have just done this and would have gone into a territorial game, but I'm guessing FineArt thought this area is just too big, so it had to do something. Plus, I'm assuming, or guessing, I don't know, that it did not see this tesuji, this move right here. Which, even for an AI, how can you blame them? But yeah, very good game. Props to Yang for defeating FineArt. And yeah, I hope this review was helpful or enjoyable. If you have any comments or questions about the game, please let me know in the comments, and I will see you in the next video.